Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
How's everyone doing today?
Good.
Fantastic.
Besides not being able to see outside, it's great.
That's right.
How was everyone's week?
Good.
Let's have some gratitude, some wins this week. Victories? Anyone?
Gratitude.
Huh? Yes.
Try to keep this short, but it's we always talk about becoming the person you need to become in order to get the business you need.
Right.
And this year has been such a huge growth year for me since I joined this brokerage. And there's a lot of reasons why. A lot of the leadership and the people here, and it's just kind of what we focus on. But the main thing that I'm grateful for is just it's kind of like the money's a byproduct. Yes, I've doubled my business this year, but that's more like just the gratifying feeling of just being happier and being the person that I am today versus where I was a year ago. Is I say probably my biggest one for this year.
I love that.
And this positive influence cannot it's impossible for other people not to see it. And I'll give you an example. This is what brought this gratitude for me this morning. Yesterday I was making breakfast for my boys before I come to work, and I was making breakfast for my son, and he was kind of coloring something on the side, and he was trying to figure something out. He kind of just said it passively, and I've never told him to say this before. He said, "I could solve any big problem."
Oh, wow.
And that's what a 5-year-old said. And I was like, I just stopped what I was doing, and I was like, "Oh, where'd you learn that?"
Yeah.
Right? And I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Where'd you learn that?" He said, "I just thought of it."
Wow.
And I just thought that was amazing. That obviously that's a byproduct of the environment I'm in and my wife's in. That's pushing those same thoughts onto our children.
Absolutely. It's so powerful. I love that because it's true. The influences that you have on your life on a daily basis come from your environment, your surroundings, and then the energy just emanates from you and what you take from it. I love that. Thank you for saying that. Anyone else? Gratitudes? Wins? Yes, Craig?
I'm grateful for both agents who got in the hot seat today and were willing to do that. Chris and Jeff.
Yes.
And I always learn.
I know. I love that. Thank you for being vulnerable, because that honestly does open the doors to learning more. So I actually appreciate you being in the hot seat and listening and taking suggestions, because listening to someone else, you could have it perfectly, but suddenly somebody will come by and say something, you're like, wow, that's amazing. Even though you already have it down. That's why every day is a learning experience. So Greg, thank you for mentioning that. That's awesome. And Jeff, love seeing you here in the mornings again.
Oh, thank you.
So that's great. I have a lot of gratitude for starting my day off with everyone here. Honestly, before I used to, be honest, not start my day till 8:30, 9 o'clock, and this is like years ago. But coming in to role play, and I'm excited about it. I actually get up early for no reason before my alarm sometimes, and I get really annoyed at myself. Like, oh my gosh, no, I can sleep another hour. What am I doing? But it's because I'm excited now. Now I'm excited. I'm excited to come in. I'm excited to communicate. I'm excited to grow with everyone. And I learn every day. So I appreciate everyone that's here because I learn every day. And I get better with what I'm saying. Oh, that's a great way to say it. And here you're learning from agents that have real life experiences on a daily basis. It's not just like, hey, you should go and do this. You're actually learning real life scenarios. It's not learning from a book. It's not reading something. It's actually having those conversations and implementing the good things that you can. And the bad things. Honestly, we do objection handling because we need to learn how to ask more questions before we start. Is there anyone else? Gratitudes, Wiz?
I was just going to tell Wayne I wasn't calling him an idiot. I was talking about the physical market in general. Sometimes you think they're idiots because they want to go for it on their own, and they don't really have a good reason.
Wayne was crying over here.
I was ready to commit suicide.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, buddy.
Thank you
Make
for
sure you
telling
put me in touch with your heirs.
Either that or jump the circle and come give you
What I
give you something
pictured
there.
was the bubbles and the thought. He verbalized his thought. I thought it was hilarious.
He had to contain himself and say, excuse me? So that was great, actually, because sometimes getting something out of the blue, even when you're in a presentation, somebody will be like, what? What do you mean by that? Or it can completely throw you off guard.
Right.
Honestly, he's probably like, wait, what should I say to that? Excuse me? Like, what do you mean? You know, it's good to have those. Sometimes when, like Rick, we do different impressions or we do different voices. It's not to like, hey, go and be a joker with your clients. No, it's about getting out of your head, because if you know what to say, but you're always concentrating on, okay, I need to say this next, you're not actively listening. You're not there. You're not present. And so sometimes when you do a different voice or do a different character, you're not focusing so much on the words, then you're focusing on the character, right? The voice. And so that's why we do different experiences. But I love that. We've been learning more and more. Active listening and active questioning. So we're going to go into the questioning. Objection handling is all about asking the question, right? This is a really profound sentence. Active questioning is the intentional consequence and result in active listening and can be a powerful cause for inspiration, connection, influence, and problem resolution. When we're listening to somebody, are we just listening and waiting so we can say the next thing? Are we actually listening to respond? Are we listening to actually understand, or digging in deeper? So when we're making our phone calls, or I left this up there because yesterday Rob was talking about it, and it's so important because words, tone, and body language. How many agree that body language actually does affect your tone? Like we talked about that yesterday, right? Even when we're sitting in the group, like you're nervous. Like Chris was sitting, he was in the hot seat, he was nervous and he had to talk to everybody. Now, he was talking fast because you do that when you're nervous, you're like, okay, how do I answer that? But no, if we pause and we listen and we actually like, oh, I'm divorced. But sometimes you're like, oh, well, so do you want to sell the house? You know, you instantly go into that because you're instantly thinking in your mind, what can I say next? Yes.
So isn't it funny how we, in our practices, we focus so much on the words we say, and
Yeah.
also what do we critique people on?
Absolutely.
The words we say.
The words we say.
And that represents 7% of our communication.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So one way we can improve, not just as an individuals, but as
Yeah.
critiquers as well, is focusing on that body language and tone.
Yeah.
That have a larger impact on that conversation.
Absolutely. So I want to go over a few things. Listening with body language. I didn't spell that right. How I can spell, I promise. Okay. So let's start with listening. Okay, when we're sitting across from someone, let's say we're in a hot seat and we're trying to handle an objection, and we're sitting and we're listening, and you know what to say, but depending on their response. So give me some good examples on how do you listen with body language right now? Like if somebody's talking to you and they're having a conversation and you know they're going to keep going, you don't, number one, so
Make
if
eye
you're
contact.
eye
Yeah.
contact,
Smile.
smiling's a big one.
Nod your head.
Lean forward.
Leaning forward shows your interest. Thank you. What else? Are we in a hurry to get them to the next point? Your body language, like when you fidget, or you're like, or you start moving around, you're like, I want to say the next thing. They can see that. You guys, I'm guilty of it. I do it. I want to finish people's sentences, and I want to be like, oh, I know that. I know the value. Let me tell you this. I've had to practice this a lot, and the pausing is really hard for me. John Sight used to listen to me in Prospect, and he's like, you are so eager to give the next response that you're not pausing. I'm like, he's like, that's what the ... dot's there for. Just listen. Yes, Greg.
A huge one, I think, is either looking at your watch or looking at the clock.
Yeah, or just
When
looking
someone's
around.
talking to you.
Right, absolutely.
When you immediately look there or go like this, you lost me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
E-
yeah.
Even when we're engaged right now, and I'm talking to you guys, if I'm like, oh shoot, it's 8:40, they want to get out.
That
from
tells me
right?
you have an agenda to get through versus what we say being
Versus
important.
listening. Am I important? So it's always about us. We talk about putting emotion. Jason brought that up in the book what we read last time. That we think, and Never Split the Difference, that we 99% were thinking with emotions. but we also don't put ourselves in their spot, right? So instantly, if we lose eye contact or we're fidgeting or we're moving, like, oh my gosh, when is this gonna end so I can answer the question? So we gotta be really careful. Yes, Matt?
The best way to practice this is just in your regular day conversations,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Because you don't actually have enough time in front of a client to master this.
Oh, I know. You don't. It's true.
You don't. I mean, you probably just have enough to identify what you're not good at in
That's
the
true.
presentation.
That's true.
And so I'll give you an example. So 2 days ago, my wife, she asked if I wanted to do a certain activity. I couldn't even remember what it was, but I was trying to imagine us doing it for a second. I was like, trying to decide if I want to do it. Decided I wanted to do it, but my whole time my face said, I don't want to do it. So she said, never mind. Right? And I was like, well, I actually do want to do that. She's like, well, it did notify your face, right? Right?
Like, get with it.
Yeah. Anyway, still, but it's just funny because we need our body language to match. So if I'm going to be thinking about something,
Yeah.
I need my body to express, oh, I'm interested in this thing.
Absolutely.
I just need to think about this. And otherwise, we're just not going to be on the same page, and it's going to be even worse with our clients than with us.
Absolutely. Practicing every day on how you present is so important. I don't know if anyone heard George's message yesterday. It's all about taking the listening, but what's more important is the presentation, how you do. The next one is, I'm going to say it nicer, but be quiet. Just be quiet. Ask the question and please be quiet. For me, it's like, shut up, Ruby. Just be quiet and listen. Because it's so important, whether you're on the phone, because when you're presenting to someone and you walk in, they see you before they hear you. On the phone, they hear you before they see you. And the way the presentation will go in the first minute or two, either you walking in or the first, actually 30 seconds when you're in person, over the phone, instant, you'll lose rapport if you are trying to be quick and you interrupt them even one time. I have that problem. I want to be like, oh, wait, I know the answer. Even when I'm sitting here, come on, Rob calls me out, right? But I know, I want to say something, but be quiet and just listen, because if you're quiet, they will keep going on and on and on, and you will eventually get the real cause of what the objection is there for, if you just be quiet. See, now, sometimes if they ask us a question and we're quiet, we're like, uh-oh, why am I quiet? So it's really important to know what to say, but more so when and how to say it. That's really important. Being quiet allows you to promote the willingness for them to open up to you, right? What else, guys? The pauses are important for what? Yes.
So a Toastmaster speech I heard yesterday morning, he got up and he was just silent. And he kind of just looked at the crowd, assessed everybody. And then he'd ask a question that was rhetorical and just was quiet.
Right.
How much more powerful and confident is that going to be?
Oh, yeah. That is. He's like, oh, he's quiet. What is he going to say
When
next?
you
So everyone's so much more intently listening, right?
Right, when you are allowed to allow those pauses, or if you don't allow those pauses and you always have to be saying something, you're like a child who just doesn't have any patience, doesn't have any confidence, doesn't know what they're doing.
Absolutely, I love that. Yes, Jason?
One of the things that can help with the being quiet or pausing is when you speak, you have a lot of air that's coming out. And if you're running out of air, you speed up your speech to get it all out before you run out of air.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're doing one of these right in the middle of your conversation and it sounds
It's
really
true.
weird. So
Yeah.
you don't want to do that, so you speed up your speech. So if you pause for a second, just allow yourself to take even a breath to get yourself recentered.
Absolutely.
You'll have a more powerful conversation than if you're trying to get through.
Yeah, I love that, because if you do pause and you just breathe, you actually relax yourself. You relax yourself and your conversation comes out with more authority. Yes.
I remember a time George talked about the importance of having a nice pen. And I'm like, what? He's all,
It's true. Yeah.
well, there are certain questions, yes, you already know the answer. You've done this several times. When the client asks a question, if you don't pause, they're going to think you're not giving their question any weight.
Absolutely.
So if you have a nice pen, you can pull your pen out and look at it for a second, and then answer their question.
Yeah.
Subliminal sign the contract too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. Here's my pen. We're gonna get through this and we're gonna sign. I love that point because it's not just pausing. It's about allowing them to realize that yes, you are listening. You're understanding what they're saying. So I love that point, Lindsay. Yeah.
I think the biggest thing that I learned on this, because for those of you who don't know, I'm a high level expressive. Right? And that when I first started learning these concepts, my coach said to me, he goes, shut up.
Yeah.
It's not about you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And so I think the key thing about, specifically in sales, is being quiet is our ability to be who we need to be for them.
Absolutely.
And to be able to, like you said, listen and actually hear their response, to know what the true objection is.
Yeah.
And there's been times where I've gone down to like a prospecting clinic and things like that, and I've had people listen in on me and they're like, how the heck did you know what they, like, where did you get that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, because I listened.
Yeah, you listen.
Right? So being quiet actually allows you to listen. And that the whole act of listening and actually asking questions, the repeating and
Yeah.
affirming, causes you to actually slow down.
Absolutely.
If you are an expressive, to slow down.
Yeah.
For you to actually listen to what it is that they're saying.
Of course.
And then not only that, to be able to turn around and actually handle the objection that they're truly having, not the one that you assume because you over-talked them or you over-spoke or whatever it was that you were doing.
Yeah.
So being quiet is a powerful thing in sales.
It's so powerful. And it puts you in a powerful position, just like you're saying.
Right. It's your ability not to, I think, if you have the ability to be quiet, you win more times than you don't.
Absolutely. I love that because the objection that we got this morning when Jeff told you that I'm going through a divorce, I just need it. You're sometimes, when somebody gives you their personal story and they start to give you something that's emotional, you're like, I don't know how to handle that. Like, so take that moment so you know that you don't have to answer. I'm sorry that you're in a difficult situation. That's all you need to say. Because sometimes the divorce thing could be a great thing or it could be the worst thing in the world. Yes. I want to say something. Okay.
I'm
Please.
like Lindsay, I suffer from being an overtalker.
Oh, I do too.
Being
It's hard,
annoying
but please.
sometimes. And I think that's one of the things that's great about this job is you learn so much about yourself. It's
Absolutely.
incredible.
Yeah.
And I've been impatient in the past, and that's part of it, is when you're impatient and you're trying to get your thought out.
Right.
I was at a Thanksgiving dinner, and one of the gals that was part of the guests was talking about somebody she knew, and she said, he doesn't care about me. He's always trying to think of what he's going to say over the top of what I'm going to say. And so that's the impression I get.
It
But
is.
what the focus that helps me is the repeat and affirm that we learn. If you can focus on what they're saying so that you can rephrase what they're saying,
Yeah.
and be patient enough to go, well, I'll understand what my response is once I repeat and affirm and they acknowledge what I've said. I've had all that time to listen to them, all that time to repeat what I said,
Yeah.
and take a breath and maybe say, well, let's think about that. And then they're just totally focused on your response versus,
Right.
he just cut me off. What
Yeah.
a jackass.
Yeah. Immediately then they lose their train of thought and you are just blabbing on. Honestly, like it's just, you can only ask active questions if you have active listening. Or if you don't know how you know what question to ask, then you're just going through the scripts and they're like, oh, she's just surfacing. She has no idea and she doesn't care. The intention's not there. Yes, Matt.
They talk about the surface coaching a lot.
Mhm.
And it's like the same problem, I think, with questions. You have surface questions.
Right.
And the only reason you would ever, surface question would be like a yes or no, or you ask something you don't like hear the answer because you want to get their point across after they say something.
Right. Absolutely.
And the only reason you'd ever ask those things is because you don't intend to have active listening after you ask the question.
Absolutely.
And you don't intend for them to actually have to think about what response they're going to get.
Yeah, that's so important. We don't realize that, but in our everyday conversations, practice that. When you ask somebody a question, in passing we always say, how you doing? Good. Okay, great. Like usually if you have a better relationship with somebody, you say, how's things going? So I know that, your mom is sick. Somebody asked me yesterday. I know that your mom has been sick. How's she doing? It's been really tough, but then I'm able to open up and I know that they remember what I've told them. They remember what is important to me and what's emotional to me, and they pay attention. Like when somebody realizes that, when you ask those questions and somebody says it in the beginning, like when you mentioned this morning, I'm going through a divorce. I just need to move. I'm moving to the east side. So if he just went, oh, okay, you're looking at the east side, what type of home do you want? And he completely bypassed your whole emotional reason for wanting to move. Then you're like, I'm not working with this guy. You've already decided at that moment. If he says, I'm so sorry, difficult situation, I don't know about the time frames or anything, but you need to be closer to your daughters, that's great. I'd love to help you with that. You know, instantly, if you repeat and affirm, they know that you're listening. When you pause, and the biggest thing is, don't interrupt. If you interrupt someone one time in a conversation, immediately if you do apologize, oh, I'm so sorry to interrupt, then it's okay. Otherwise, instantly, you lose rapport. Yes, Jason?
Unless it's an expressive. That's the only way you'll get a conversation in. But you have to be smart about it. I mean, don't just interrupt them, but if they're talking, you're going to have to match them.
Yeah, I had this problem. I don't want to finish if they pause, I want to finish their sentences. I used to do that. And so I practice that every day. Don't interrupt them. Listen to even if you have a good answer for them, pause. Don't interrupt. Pause and then just say, at that moment, then repeat and affirm and then give your response. If you interrupt them once, you'll lose instant rapport. I don't like when people interrupt me when I'm trying to speak. I have a low voice, so sometimes when I'm talking, I'm like, wait, listen to me first, because I'm an expressive. So what if it's a client? They're not going to do that to you because they don't know you. But your relatives, your sisters, like I do that to my sister all the time. Like I'll complete her sentences sometimes, but now I've been really so much better in communicating with her because I'm like, there's a reason behind her frustration, so let me find that out. Let me ask her. There's a reason why. It's expectations. So if you, please don't interrupt people, okay? And avoid judging. It's hard. Sometimes when our life is going pretty well, you're not able to put yourselves in their shoes. So if they're explaining to you a divorce situation or a death situation or a sickness, the reason why they have to move. You know how sometimes when we say in our scripts, where are you moving to next? Oh, I have to, we're going to go to California. Oh, that's great. Why? Because it's a sunny state? No. There's reasons why they're moving. So what's taking you to California? It's the question that you ask, right? You can't instantly go, oh, California, that's great. No, it's not. It might not be great. So ask the question. If you pause and you listen and avoid judging, because maybe you haven't had a death in the family. Maybe there's no sickness. Maybe you're completely healthy and good relationships and everything's beautiful. That's wonderful. But anyone else could be going through a lot. So don't judge because you don't know. Just try to empathize in a way if it was a relative sitting in front of you that's going through that pain, or your sister, or yourself, for instance. Instantly when you judge, oh, yeah, I'm divorced, or hey, I got to live closer to my kids because my ex is out there. Instantly, there's could be so many reasons why they're moving. So be careful and don't judge because it comes off in your body language instantly. Yeah.
I love the statement that Tony Robbins often says, right, is be less judgmental, more curious.
More curious.
And I think it's more critical in our business than it is anything.
Yeah, versatility.
I was talking with Richard about this the other day, is our ability to show empathy to our clients,
absolutely.
Right? And it doesn't mean that, and I love what George, early on when we first started working, you taught me, he goes, it doesn't mean you have to agree with them.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't mean you have to truly, truly feel that.
Of course.
But if you have the ability to go in and,
empathy.
show empathy and be who you need to be for them, again, it's amazing what you can do in your business.
Yeah, absolutely.
And not only that, just being who you need to be for one, yourself.
Yeah. And
then two, for other people,
Yeah.
I think being less judgmental, more curious to why people react or do what they're doing, or we might think that the house that they're looking at is completely ridiculous. Yeah, absolutely. And they absolutely love it, right? And it makes no sense to us why they would even consider it.
Yeah.
Well, it's being more curious. Okay, well maybe those big hallways make sense because little did you know, because you didn't do enough, did you?
Right.
They have a handicapped child or something.
Yeah,
right?
you don't know.
It's just avoiding that judgment and being more curious.
It could be something that is so important to them, and if you bypass it, but if you're curious and you ask those questions, share with me a little bit more. Share with me a little bit more. Oh, I'm so sorry about that you had to experience that. Just a little empathy, and honestly, you're having the conversation anyways. So if you just pause and you listen leaning forward, body language is the #1 key of how you're showing that you're listening. Like if you're like let's say you're having a conversation with somebody, somebody's like, okay, I got to get up and start walking. That just means you're done. You know, you're out. And if you're nodding and you're listening and you're smiling, see now your energy is very contagious. It really is. If you're smiling, you walk into a room, let's say they could be having a horrible issue, something happened. You pre-qualify over the phone, the next year you're going out, maybe someone got sick, maybe a death in the family, but you met them and they're at the house and you're coming with all this energy. Read the body language. Read the body language, match their energy. If you match their energy, you're instantly starting to build rapport, especially the rate of speech. Remember we were talking about this morning. Sometimes when you're talking fast, okay, let me get through the next question. You do that. Especially expressives, you honestly want to get the answer because you have a value you want to give them and you want them to see it before you allow them to see it. And so next I would just say the nonverbal. Of course, that's just all body language. The nodding, the listening, intentional, and also, of course, don't finish their sentences. That's really important. I do that, so I'm saying that's really important. When we're practicing our presentation and we're sitting here and we practice it and you're like, okay, script, I gotta look down. When you're having a conversation, it's okay to take notes, guys. When you're there, you don't have to remember every little key. You don't have to remember every little note. It's okay to take notes while you're in front of them. When they're saying something, oh, well, you probably thought they only have 1 or 2 kids, but maybe they have 5. They have family that comes and visits and stays with them. They have a relative staying with them. They have an apartment downstairs in the basement that they need to sell. Take the notes. It's okay. It's even okay to take out your script and just read, saying, out of the questions, actually, I guess we bypassed that. So share with me a little bit more why that's important. Don't interrupt them, let them finish. Body language is the key to it's the key to your tone, the way you stand, the way you smile, the way you're, practice that every day. Practice that on a daily basis. In your passings, like when you're passing, hey, how's it going? You know that they're not stopping to have a conversation when they're passing in the hallway. Hey, how's it going? Okay, good, doing great. But if you are gonna pause and have a conversation with somebody, try to practice these things. It's really important to pause and listen and have that response time. Anyone have any thoughts? We're gonna close that down. Thoughts? Yes.
I was thinking, Matt was talking about his kids. You learn a lot with your kids because I've confronted my kid about how he said something to me, and he says, all I said was this. And I mean, it's like a common phrase from parents is you better watch the way you talk to me.
Yeah.
It's like not what you said, it's like the way you're talking to me.
The way you talk to me, right?
Right?
Yeah, it's just the way, it's true. And your family has a big influence, your surroundings, your environment. Now we're practicing here every day, and we go out and then your family's my family's really loud. And, well, not really, but they're loud. And sometimes they'll be like, oh no, you should do these things this way because everyone thinks that they know better, right? It's the pausing. So I start to just listen and practice because we're doing this here every day. So it's a great way to implement in your own life and practice that on a daily basis and wait for the responses. And you see the impact that you have on your kids without trying. Because if you better yourself, it's the personal growth that you have and the presentations go through so much smoother, whether you're on the phone, because if you pause, especially when we're recruiting, I'm just like, no. Let me tell you why it's so great to be here, right? You want to give them that value. Let me tell you why I'm the best agent. No, they need to understand why you're the best for them. You're like a human shield for them. They need to realize that. They need to realize that you are there for them and you're going to be on their team. They need to realize that comes out in your language, that comes out in your communication. Communication is the key. We are in a communication business. That's it. It's not the real estate business. We're in a communication business. We are serving in a communication base. That's all. If they don't believe you, they don't believe that you have that intention, they're not going to want to work with you, right? They'll be like, oh, this guy knows everything, but I don't like him. It's all about how they feel. And so these are just the things that I've been focusing on, and I listen to them even when I'm on the calls. So I'm trying to actually put notes. Be quiet, Ruby. Be quiet. Be quiet. Just let them finish. I have that problem. So because I believe I have a value for them, but they need to see it. They need to self-discover that. So they can only discover that if you are actively listening. Where their focus goes, the energy flows. If you're focusing on the intent of yes, you're going to get a yes. You're going to get the appointment. You're going to get their trust. You're going to build that relationship. Yes, Lindsay.
So you just said a great statement, right? That I think salespeople need to listen to.
Yeah.
I have a value to sell to them, or
Mhm.
I want them to see the value I offer them.
Yeah.
It's not about you.
Yeah, it's not about you.
Again, so going back to actively questioning,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Are you asking enough questions to then be able, like one of the things I love that George and Dawn, from years of experience with them, is they teach you repeating affirming, they teach you
Mhm.
tonality, they teach
Yeah.
you all these little fundamental things that people, again, like George said yesterday in the
Yeah.
morning message, right, that people don't want to pay attention to because they don't understand how critical it can be to their business.
Yeah.
They don't want to practice it. My favorite thing when I'm coaching clients was they would always say, well, that's just not who I am. I only want to sell to people who are like me. Well, then you'll continue to only do the business that you're doing.
Absolutely.
Right? So if you want to increase your business,
Yeah.
you have to be able to be who you need to be for your clients.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I learned early on from George is understanding I'm asking questions
Mhm.
and then I'm selling the benefit that's important to them.
Absolutely.
Right? So I'm not going to sit there and sell them on how I market a home, how I
Yeah.
negotiate, how
Yeah.
I this, how I that, when none of that even matters to them.
That's cherry on top. It's
None of
you.
it even matters to them.
Right.
If you're asking the right questions and then you're actively listening,
Oh yeah.
you'll sell them on what they want to be sold on.
Yeah.
Right? So it's, again, making it about them. It's not
Not them.
manipulation. There's
No,
two types
it's
of
not.
salesmen. You have,
Right.
you have the manipulator and you have the
Persuasion.
persuader.
Yeah.
In my opinion, the manipulator is the one that sits there and goes, here's my value, here's what I have to offer you, versus, hey,
Yeah.
What do I need to do for you? What is it about, what benefit is it that I do as an agent to be able to sell your home that's important to you?
Absolutely.
Right? It's why we ask the questions, what are your wants and needs and your desires of getting
Yeah.
your home sold? Well, if we're asking those questions and we're actively listening, like you're saying,
Yeah.
you'll know exactly what the client needs from you, and you're not trying to sell them on the whole kit and caboodle. You're selling them on the one thing that they want.
Yeah, your plan of action, your techniques and strategies, everything you have, that's cherry on top. One thing I forgot to write up here is, no, I forgot. Okay. Anyway, sorry, you had something, Sean.
What Lindsay just said is so key.
Yeah.
I remember wanting other people to understand the value I had for them, and I was so worried about that for a while. And within that space, I remember one door I knocked, and I must have, I don't know how I let that go, but they said, oh yeah, we're moving, we already have an agent. And I
Right.
could tell she didn't even want to talk to me on it. And for some reason I just asked her, oh, you're moving, that's awesome. Where are you moving to?
Mhm.
What's causing you to think about moving? What do you want? It was all about her.
Yeah.
And after asking those questions, she'll, wow, you're different. My husband needs to talk to you.
Yeah.
Here, write this down. Here's his name and number.
That's amazing, right?
I'm all, really?
That's so true. And it goes hand in hand with everything. Isn't it amazing where you can have a friend for 15 years, but then you can meet somebody in a year and they could become your best friend? Isn't that crazy? Why? It's because you instantly build that relation of trust, communication, and they know you're there for them. It's not just the value, it's the value of they have my best interest at heart, they have trust, I can trust them, they have my back, they're gonna negotiate for me, they know what I need, they know how much money I need, they know why I'm moving. I wanna go with them because of the way they make me feel.
They get me.
They get me. That's it. Be their human shield to say, you know what, I'm here for you. I'm here to protect this transaction. This is one of the most important things that you're going to do in your life. And I'm here and I want to help you. I want to help you. That was it. If you let them know, how can I help you? How can I help that situation? And always be, even though you don't, always agree. Before you give them your benefit, before you give them that objection of what they're saying is wrong, or they say 500,000 or 800,000, they're off in left field. But you're saying, I would love to sell it for that much. Share with me what's so important about $800,000. Maybe they need that money to pay something off. Maybe they need that for their next home. Maybe they're building and it's just costs are outrageous. But don't be judgmental and always agree. Oh, okay, great. Nodding, agreeing, affirming. It shows that you are there, you are listening, you're present. If you're off and thinking about what am I going to say next, if they give me this objection, what am I going to say next, you are not listening. It's true. What you focus on is where the energy flows. It's true, yes.
In always agreeing, it is, like you said, you don't have, you can tell them they're right and not really believe that they are.
Absolutely.
And if someone tells me I'm wrong, I'm going to fight them tooth and nail.
Yeah.
But if someone tells me, you're so right, let me ask you, don't you really want this end result?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my goodness, if I let this go, I can have that? I'll be open to it, but if they fight me, if they tell me I'm wrong, I'm gonna fight tooth and nail, even if I risk losing.
Yeah, absolutely. And if they're in left field, you'll know that. You'll know how to redirect them. You'll know how to, when you agree with them, you're listening to them. Because there's something more important about that, right? So I love that. When you have that value and you listen and you agree and you nod and the body language there, you're actually listening to them. And it's about them. Even though you have those objections in your own mind, you're like, oh crap, they're in left field. This is going to be really difficult for me. But, oh, okay, I understand that. Share with me, how did you get that? And when you use the words we, let's, we'll figure it out, let's do this, let's do that, I'll find this out for you. It just shows them that you're listening and it shows that you're working as a team. Any more thoughts on this, guys? Okay, it's
Sorry,
Friday.
John, you're wrong.
Let's go.
Let's go.
See that tooth and nail.
All right, guys, have a great day and a good weekend. Let's make this day count.